person you are today is not equipped to claim the success you dream about tomorrow. But what if I told you that just one habit could make you more valuable, more powerful, and more irreplaceable than 99% of people around you? Would you ignore it or master it? Daily self-education is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the master key because it gives you access to doors others don't even know exist. The moment you commit to learning something every day, you begin to shape your mind into a tool of precision, strategy, and strength. You stop reacting to the world and start understanding how it works, how people think, how systems operate, and how value is created. You move from being a pawn in someone else's plan to becoming the architect of your own. In a world that evolves by the minute, where industries rise and fall and trends shift overnight, the only true security lies in your ability to adapt. And adaptation requires learning, not once, not occasionally, but daily. Your future success isn't hidden in a job posting, a business idea, or a market trend. It's hidden inside the knowledge you haven't acquired yet. The habits of daily learning are what separate leaders from followers. It sharpens your awareness. It heightens your insight. You begin to spot opportunities where others see only obstacles. You develop the language of influence, the clarity of thought, and the courage of conviction. You gain the power to navigate complexity, to solve problems, and to make decisions that others are too unsure to face. Daily self-education disciplines your mind. It pulls you away from distractions and pulls you toward growth. Whether you're reading a powerful book, studying a new skill, reflecting on what you've learned, or seeking out mentorship from minds greater than your own, every bit of effort compounds. What starts as knowledge becomes wisdom. What starts as practice becomes mastery. More than that, when you educate yourself consistently, your confidence changes. You stop asking, "Can I?" and begin saying, "I will." You move from hoping something works to understanding why it works and how to make it work better. This kind of internal power cannot be given, it must be earned through relentless, intentional daily learning. Most people stop learning after school, and that right there is your golden opportunity. It's one of the greatest advantages available to anyone willing to seize it. The average person treats graduation as the finish line of education rather than the starting point of real, meaningful learning. They spend years in a structured system, completing assignments, passing exams, memorizing facts, and once that structure disappears, so does their drive to continue growing. They associate learning with pressure, not power. And in doing so, they step off the path of personal evolution. This creates a massive gap between those who continue to invest in their minds and those who don't. A gap that widens every single day. While most settle into routines, focus on entertainment, or get consumed by the noise of everyday life, a small percentage chooses to keep learning, and they pull ahead quietly, steadily, and unmistakably. They read while others scroll. They study while others gossip. They invest in skills while others complain about circumstances. Over time, that difference in mental investment creates a difference in lifestyle, in income, in relationships, and in influence. The truth is, life after school is where the most important lessons begin. It's where you have the freedom to learn based on curiosity, not curriculum. And that kind of learning is far more powerful because it's self-directed. You're not being tested by a teacher. You're being tested by life. And most people walk into that test completely unprepared because they stopped feeding their mind the moment they hung up their cap and gown. This is where your edge is born. If you simply choose to continue learning when others don't, if you read one more book, study one more skill, reflect one more hour, You gradually become someone with insight, clarity, and resourcefulness that others lack. While most are using outdated thinking to face a modern world, you're upgrading your perspective daily. While they rely on what they were taught years ago, you're learning what the world needs now. And that shift, that quiet but consistent pursuit of growth, is what separates those who merely exist from those who rise. Your income will never exceed your level of personal development, not for long, and not sustainably. This isn't just a motivational phrase. It's a reflection of how value works in the real world. Income is not merely a reflection of effort or time. It is a direct measurement of the value you bring to the marketplace, and that value is shaped entirely by the person you become. The skills you possess, the way you think, the problems you can solve, the leadership you can provide, the discipline you maintain, and the confidence you carry. All of these are internal assets that determine your external rewards. People often chase money without upgrading themselves. They want higher income without building higher capability. But money flows to people who can handle responsibility, pressure, and complexity. And personal development is the training ground for all of that. It teaches you how to think critically, how to communicate clearly, how to make decisions under uncertainty, how to lead yourself before leading others. Without these traits, even if money comes your way, it won't stay, because you haven't built the foundation to sustain it, manage it, or multiply it. Think about every high-performing individual. Entrepreneurs, executives, creators, investors. Their results aren't just tied to what they do, they're tied to who they've become. They've invested thousands of hours into developing their mindset, upgrading their emotional intelligence, studying human behavior, mastering disciplines, and learning to manage themselves. This growth creates gravitational pull, attracting better opportunity, deeper trust, stronger partnerships, and ultimately, greater income. On the other hand, stagnation in personal development creates a ceiling. You may be hardworking, you may even be talented, but if you are not evolving mentally, emotionally, strategically, you'll eventually hit a limit. Because money follows growth, not potential growth. Real, active, daily growth. It doesn't care how smart you were in the past. It rewards who you are right now. This is why two people can be in the same job with the same title and the same hours, but one earns twice as much or 3 times as much, because their personal development has given them sharper insight, stronger confidence, more initiative, and better judgment. They see what others miss. They act when others hesitate. They add more than what is asked. That extra value isn't magic. It's the result of intentional, continual self-work. If you want your income to grow, you must grow first. Your results will never permanently rise above your identity. They will always reflect your habits, your learning, your thinking patterns, and your willingness to evolve past your comfort zone. Knowledge compounds. Even 30 minutes a day puts you miles ahead, because learning is not a linear game, it's exponential. Each piece of information you absorb, each concept you understand, each insight you gain becomes a building block, not just added to your mind, but connected with everything you already know. Over time, this creates a powerful mental framework that allows you to process information faster, make better decisions, and understand complexity with clarity that others struggle to grasp. When you devote just half an hour daily to learning, reading a book, studying a subject, listening to a podcast, analyzing a case, or reflecting on new ideas, you are making a small but significant deposit into your mental bank account. And just like financial investments, these deposits begin to generate returns. The more you know, the more you understand what you don't know, and the more efficiently you can learn. Your ability to absorb new knowledge accelerates, your retention improves, your thinking sharpens. What started as a slow climb turns into an upward curve of momentum. Most people underestimate this because they're looking for overnight results. They don't see the point of reading 10 pages or learning one new skill today. But 30 minutes of focused learning daily equals 3.5 hours a week, 14 hours a month, and over 170 hours a year. That's more than 4 full-time work weeks, dedicated entirely to self-improvement. Imagine what you could master in that time. Imagine how deeply you could understand your industry, your craft, your competitors, or your own mind. While others are stuck in the loop of entertainment and distraction, you are slowly forging an edge that becomes uncatchable. This compounding effect doesn't just make you more intelligent, it makes you more prepared. In moments where others hesitate, you respond with clarity. In rooms where others listen passively, you speak with weight. You start to anticipate trends, understand the moves of leaders, recognize opportunities others ignore. And all of that comes not from massive bursts of effort, but from the quiet, consistent discipline of learning just a little each day. You don't need to read for hours or study like you're in a university. What you need is intention, to show up every day with a hunger to grow. One concept understood today can shift your entire approach tomorrow. One breakthrough can multiply the value of everything you already know. And as that knowledge compounds, you find yourself making connections, seeing patterns, and building strategies that feel effortless to you, but extraordinary to others. Knowledge compounds. Even 30 minutes a day puts you miles ahead, because the true power of learning lies not just in what you gain in the moment, but in how that gain multiplies over time. Think of it like interest on an investment. The earlier and more consistently you deposit into your mental bank, the greater the returns become. When you commit to learning daily, no matter how small the session, you are setting in motion a process that builds momentum far beyond what you can see in the beginning. Every 30-minute session adds a new layer to your understanding. At first, it may feel slow, subtle, or even insignificant, like a single drop of water in a bucket. But each drop builds upon the last. Eventually, those drops form a stream, then a flow, and ultimately, a flood of insight, perspective, and capability. What you read one day connects with something you discover weeks later, and suddenly, what once seemed like isolated facts become part of a larger mental framework that enhances your judgment, your creativity, and your execution. This is the nature of compounding. It rewards consistency over intensity. It doesn't care if you're not sprinting as long as you're moving. While others wait for the perfect time to commit to learning a new course, a workshop, a degree, you're making progress in small, manageable steps. And over months, that difference becomes undeniable. What you're really doing in those 30 minutes a day is training your brain to stay active, alert, and growth-oriented. You're developing not just knowledge, but learning agility, the ability to adapt quickly, absorb deeply, and think critically in unfamiliar situations. Most people underestimate how much transformation is possible in a year of focused daily learning. They overestimate what they can do in one burst of effort, but they completely miss the magic that happens when you engage your mind every single day without fail. You begin to notice patterns, absorb complex ideas with less resistance, and synthesize multiple streams of thought into original solutions. And while others are reacting to the world around them trying to catch up, you're already ahead, not because you're smarter, but because you're consistent. In 30 minutes a day, you can finish dozens of books in a year, develop multiple new skills, gain fluency in unfamiliar subjects, study the thinking of world-class minds, or deeply explore areas that directly enhance your personal and professional life. That time, repeated day after day, becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a strategy. A long-term commitment to your evolution. It's not about cramming information, but absorbing it meaningfully, reflecting on it, applying it, and allowing it to shape the way you see, think, and act. Consistency, not intensity, is what separates winners from wanderers, because greatness is rarely the result of one grand act. It is the product of repeated, deliberate effort over time. While intensity burns bright and fast, often fueled by emotion or motivation, consistency is quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's not as flashy, and it rarely gets praised in the moment, but it builds the kind of results that last, compound, and elevate a person far beyond the reach of those who rely on sporadic bursts of effort. Most people get caught in cycles of high energy followed by burnout, driven by short-lived enthusiasm rather than long-term discipline. They sprint for a few days, pour themselves into a new routine, a new goal, a new plan, but the moment life gets busy, distractions creep in, or progress feels slow, they retreat, they pause, they start over later, and eventually they begin to wander, drifting from one thing to another, collecting fragments of progress, but never building anything meaningful. Winners, on the other hand, understand that real transformation happens in the mundane, in the repetition, in the slow but steady grind that doesn't always feel exciting. They show up when they don't feel like it. They train when no one's watching. They learn when others are relaxing. And because of this consistency, they build momentum that doesn't fade with moods or seasons. It accelerates over time. This habit of showing up regardless of how they feel gives them a level of discipline, focus, and inner strength that becomes unshakable. Consistency carves depth. It allows you to master a craft instead of dabbling. It allows your habits to become identity. It lets you stack effort on effort, each layer reinforcing the last, creating a foundation so strong that even when challenges come, and they will, you are already grounded. You're not starting from scratch. You're building on a rhythm, a process, a track record of following through. While intensity depends on bursts of motivation, consistency is built on commitment. It's the quiet promise you make to yourself that no matter what's going on outside, you will keep pushing forward. It doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It means doing something deliberately, repeatedly, and with intention. The results may not be instant, but they are inevitable. Every time you repeat a task, revisit a lesson, show up to the process, you strengthen the neural pathways, the habits, and the mindset that winners live by. And the beautiful paradox is this. Over time, your consistency creates intensity. What once felt hard becomes effortless. What once drained you begins to energize you. What once felt like work becomes part of who you are. The process becomes smoother, more natural, more powerful, not because the world changed, but because you did. And you did it not through occasional flashes of effort, but through the quiet, compounding power of showing up again and again and again.